Hey there, Bannock folks. You're tuned in to another episode of Bannockdotes, podcast that holds it down for the underground sound here in Ontario, Canada. And I'm your host, Phil Paxton. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below what you like, what you don't like, what questions you want to hear, maybe guests you want to see in the future, all that fun stuff. This week we got a great guest for you. We got JJ. Justin Jennings. He's played in bands like For Man and Ghost, From Lambs Become Lions, Doppelgangers. He was playing in a thing called Liars Club lately. Yeah, he's been playing music for quite a while, and then especially in this area. And it was great to sit down and talk with him. All right, folks, let's get into it.
Right now, well, technically still at the casino.
Casino.
So I like in management at the casino. So I got some time off, but I should be going back pretty soon.
Nice.
Yeah, we're all good. So whenever you want.
Cool. All right. Let's get this started. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah.
I'll give you a bit of an intro. So you've been playing in bands in Niagara for several years now. You're respected amongst several musicians in the music scene. Everyone give a round of applause for JJ, Justin Jennings, if you will.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for showing up. I really appreciate it.
It's very cool to be here.
Now, I know you've been working on some projects in the last couple of years, but what have you been cooking up lately?
Well, I was doing this Liars Club thing for a bit with a couple of buddies, but that kind of fizzled out. I didn't want to do it at the time. I ended up having too much going on with work and my kids and everything, so I couldn't do that. So for right now, I guess, Shane Turner and I are doing something from Water Bodies. So,
Really?
yeah.
That's exciting. Shout out to Shane. I'm sure he's watching.
Yeah.
Go Bills.
Yeah. Go Bills.
Heck yeah. So that's your main project right now? That's what you're working on?
Yeah, it's very at the beginning stages. We started jamming at the beginning, right before all this shitstorm happened.
Yeah.
So we had something cool going on, and then that happened, and then we were like, geez. And we both got kids. We're both got our careers and everything, and things are just like super busy. So we just started reconnecting again recently. So hopefully get something in the next year.
Yeah. How many bands have you been in throughout the Niagara scene? You've been. I could list off a couple, but I don't know them all.
It's got to be about 14 or 15
Wow.
different bands over the years.
Yeah. Hard-working bands, too. I mean, what? We got Capture, Lambs Become Lions.
Yeah.
I
I know, I'm drawing a blank, too. There's Storyteller.
Storyteller. And you played in For Man and Ghost, too?
Yeah. For Man Ghost, Satellite State. What else is there?
Doppelgangers.
Yeah, Doppelgangers was another one. I guess Water Bodies was a big one.
Oh, yeah, Water Bodies. You're in Water Bodies.
Yeah, it's like all the same kind of people. Did a little bit with Sound Asleep, too, during the Storyteller time. I was in that for a couple months. Played one show with Vatican Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, yeah?
In an alleyway at Scene.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, with the generator?
Yeah, the generator, yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
What else is there? Did some stuff with Casey Baker and
Cool.
the Buffalo Centers for a bit. But yeah, a lot of little tiny stuff throughout the years, and then kind of like that 6 or 7 band core groups that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now, I don't think I've seen you gig since Doppelgangers. I think the last time I saw you gig was with Doppelgangers.
yeah.
Was that
so
last show?
That was my last show, and even that show was my last show for many years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been pretty much MIA for a long time.
That was, 2 years ago?
No, that was like 2017.
Oh, wow.
2018, yeah.
Jesus.
That was a long time ago. Yeah.
So we got to get you back out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, how do you keep motivated and like working through like the pandemic?
Well, I definitely have the time right now because of layoffs with work and whatnot. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's, even though you're busy and you're doing all that sort of thing, and you got your life and your career and everything, there's just like this little. I don't want to be like cheesy or anything by saying this, but there's like this like little fire, like when you do it for so long and you get comfortable with it and you enjoy writing, it becomes more about that So I guess for me, that's the biggest thing. That's why I guess playing shows haven't really been up in the forefront over the years. It's more like just writing music and having fun with that.
Yeah.
Doing stuff within my means and times that I guess I can do it. Right?
Really honing in that craft.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And it's
rather
been
than
cool.
worrying about the live performance of it.
Yeah, and just writing is fun. Like I love that shit. Like just sitting there for 6 hours and writing and recording, and then getting frustrated when you're mixing something that you don't know how to mix.
Now, so is this new project some of your potential plans for 2022?
Yeah, I think so. Like, the thing is, like, well, Shane and I have been jamming a band since we were in high school.
Yeah.
Like, he's the guy who kind of got me into playing music.
Okay.
So, like, he had, like, a pop punk band in high school called Felix.
Okay.
And then, like, a screamo band called Till Doomsday. And I remember at that time, I was like, oh, shit, like, I really want to play music. My brother owned a music store in the Falls. He got me a guitar. I learned for a bit, and then I just like tried really hard to be in a band with Shane.
Yeah.
Like at that time, I was like, oh, this guy's great. Like he's one of my best friends. I'm like, this guy's like an unreal drummer, and he's like the type of drummer too that he writes. I've always said this for years. He's the type of drummer where he writes the songs with his drums,
right?
And then you kind of play with it,
okay.
You know? And it just kind of comes naturally. So I've been kind of lucky throughout the years to play with, I guess, like drummers of that kind of caliber.
Yeah.
You know?
So you guys have like a really tight chemistry.
Yeah, for sure. Like we jammed twice before this pandemic happened, and like it was just like we looked at each other and we're like, oh yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. So how did you get into like more like metal alternative music growing up?
I guess that would be from Shane. Definitely the music scene. Yeah, it's just the core group of friends, you know. Like I really wanted to go in and kind of play that music that all of my friends were playing at the time. And then eventually I started really liking it. I'm telling you right now, I hated screaming music.
Really?
Right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like at that time when you can go to the Hideaway and you can go play all these shows and see all these shows, and Joel was doing all of his shows, and it was just like such an incredible music scene. I like Sleeper Set Sail more than I like Alexis on Fire.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. So like, what was like a distinct memory that like really kind of caught you into like getting into like that screamo style?
I think it would be the day that I started liking At the Drive-In.
Oh, okay.
At the Drive-In's like, everybody knows this about me. It's my top band.
Yeah.
Like just the presence that they had when they played live, like going nuts and dancing on stage and just being absolutely wild is like, I thought that was the coolest thing. So from that point on, I started listening to it and I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. And you start playing shows, and you start seeing all your friends, and then you start listening to it and you're like, wow, I actually really do like this. And then I started really, really liking it. Like as soon as I got in, I was like right in there.
Yeah. I spoke with, I had the pleasure of speaking with Casey we did Bergsman and I, who we mentioned, we got to do this Niagara year in review that he always does.
Yeah.
And he let me get in on it this year, and I got to speak with Casey, which, I mean, growing up watching Sleeper Set Sail for so many years, I was really honored to talk to him, and to know that he's getting back into the music scene, and even working with Mike DeSilva again. Like,
yeah.
I asked him, I was like, will we see a Sleeper Set Sail reunion? And he said, like, it could happen. He's like, we're not really like focused on it, but like if someone were to maybe offer it, like we could probably do it. I'd be like, that's exciting.
They should do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You heard it here, Casey.
Yeah. Go do it. JJ tells you to go do it.
Exactly. So what have been some of your favorite Ontario bands within the last couple of years? What caught your attention?
Favorite Ontario bands in the last couple of years? Well, a big fan of, the Nil. I like Dan Romano's stuff quite a lot. It's really hard to say. I haven't really been crazy listening to a lot of it as of lately. I get really stuck into listening to the same stuff I've been listening to for years. But the Nil is good. I love Mets. Mets is
cool.
Mets is top notch. Like they are super awesome. What else? It's hard for me to really say right now, to be honest. That's a good question. I don't know. It's just a lot of those Toronto bands, like Mets.
Pop.
Yeah, Pop is good. Pop is obviously a really, really good band. But I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard for me to think on the spot.
There's
like
a
that.
lot of them, yeah. And that's typically why that's actually kind of what got me starting doing this show was I was really wanted to focus on all the bands that are coming out of Ontario. I really wanted to magnify because, I mean, in passing you could tell, oh, this person's in this band, this person's in this band, but like when you really kind of stretch it out, put it down on paper, write it all out, there are so many musicians happening in Ontario all at once in different genres, and it can be so hard to keep up with the internet nowadays. Everything is just quick and flashing and posting, so like it can be really tough to like catch all these cool bands that are coming out of Ontario. So that's really what kind of inspired me to do the show. So like to help people like like there's tons of music happening just in our backyard, and like it's super accessible, and like they're playing an hour away or something, normally in normal circumstances, right? So you're quite the chef.
Oh yeah, I used to. Yeah, I've now managed in beverage, or in management at beverage at the casino. But yeah, I was cooking at the casino.
You were cooking, like you were the actual cook.
Yeah, for a long time. Yeah.
So like, what got you into cooking, and how vastly different is that experience from like playing shows and whatnot?
Well, it's a little bit like, I guess, faster pace, but it's kind of like the same type of thing though. When you're there and you're cooking a plate of food and you're kind of creating something, you kind of get the same thing. So for me, like taking that break, right? So what? I really stopped playing a lot of shows in probably 2014.
Okay.
That would be the time. And then I had more kids, and then I'm working at the casino. So from that point, it's almost like cooking kind of took over that void for me.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't good at the time. I went in there, it was pretty garbage, and but I figured out a way how to transfer that type of like creative passion to cooking, and that's kind of what filled that void for all those years. So as far as comparing it, it's pretty close. You see a lot of musicians that are cooks, and I think it's based off the creative factor of that,
Mm-hmm. And, like I've seen you post really like fancy dishes too.
Yeah. I really went and learned a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of it to do with like vegan vegetarian cooking. It's a big thing. I've been a vegetarian for like 9 years now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I really wanted to kind of go in and do that. I've been thinking about trying to do my own type of vegan restaurant or vegan type of cooking stuff on the side, but I haven't quite got there yet.
So you're managing the bar, so you're not doing any cooking anymore?
Yeah, no cooking.
Okay, but when you were cooking, what would be some of like the hardest meals that they would get you to cook up?
Well, it depends. Like some of the hardest, like seafood pastas, tenderloins. Like it's casino food. It's not like I wouldn't consider it like gastro cooking. Yeah,
sure.
Not at the casino, but you do get the finer restaurants with the finer dining and everything. And you do get fancier plates, but it's not gastro cooking. It's like fancy restaurant cooking.
So if you were to go on the road nowadays, would you find yourself like wanting to like, before being on the tour, you were probably like, oh, let's find the McDonald's, let's do this. Would you actually like maybe even get ingredients and cook stuff yourself?
For sure.
Yeah? It's easier.
I'd bring my own little electric stove.
Yeah, perfect.
Flat top and everything, yeah.
Yeah, and then so what would be if you were out on the road and you had a day off and you wanted to get yourself a good meal in you? What would be like one of the first things that come to your mind? I'm thinking in this case you're in a rural area, so you got maybe a corner store to work with.
A corner store to work with? Okay. It depends on what you. Okay, so if you're gonna do that, probably burritos.
Burritos.
Yeah,
that's a good option. It's gonna fill you up. Mm-hmm. You could get all your ingredients at that corner store, and it's a good option.
Yeah, you can cook it up. You can also, if you got like a 5-day stint, you can just package it, put it in a cooler. Last 5 days, put it together, warm it up on your little flat top, and you're good.
So if you were a high prestige meal, what would you be?
Pardon me?
If you were a meal, what would you be?
Oh, what would I be? That's funny. That's a good question. I don't know, probably just high prestige. Honestly, probably the fanciest burrito around because I love burritos.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because I think I remember I remember when you were working at Burrito Boys. People were like,
Yeah.
JJ's working at Burrito Boys. You gotta go get a burrito from JJ. And now here you are still telling me to this day that you'd be a burrito.
Yeah, burritos are great. They're the best.
So lastly, before we get into some anecdotes, so like what really got you into the cooking was just like the matter of the lack of shows happening and like something to fill that void, eh?
Yeah, it wouldn't even be like the lack of shows. It was just more like where you're at that life at that particular point in time, right? So I wasn't able to go and do band practice or write music, like I would before, right?
Yeah.
2 new kids on the way, throughout the years. Things just got really busy. So yeah, it definitely feel that.
What was that last band?
The last band?
Like in 2014.
The last band. Okay, so that would be... So Lambs... We stopped Lambs in probably 2014 at the beginning of it. And then I continued doing the Capper stuff for a while.
That's right.
And then that was really cool. I was really upset that I had kind of opted out from doing that at that point in time. Because we were getting to the point where, we had the 2 drummers. Davis was on the right, And I just really loved the Captor music because they're all like my best buds.
Captor's a really cool project. What's happened with that?
They continued for a little bit afterwards. They had Mitch from Camper.
Yep.
So he was in there. And Davis went to drums. And then I forget who the other guy's name was who went to the electronic drums. Senegal AstroTurf, I think, was the drummer. What was his name?
Oh,
again?
I don't know.
I can't remember. But he went for the double drums. And they were doing that for a bit. And then Riley got busy with Heavy Hearts.
Yep.
So that took a lot. And then the pandemic hit, and I think that really just kind of stopped it.
Was the nail in the coffin, eh?
Yeah, Riley's still doing stuff. I think he's just trying to... Last time I talked to him, he was thinking about doing like a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
Where he would get different musicians to come in and play on songs, but it would just be like kind of his project.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it is pretty much just his project.
Right.
Yeah.
Capture it, yeah.
Yeah, like we started writing together a little bit after his bass ideas towards the end, but mostly it was just Riley recording, demoing the shit out of everything over and over and over again, and then we would just play his parts.
Yeah, and you play all sorts of different instruments. Like you played drums in that band, but you've played guitar in Lambs Become Lions and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you're
definitely.
multi-instrumental.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, I think we could get into some anecdotes. Let's talk about some of the wildest stories you have from being on the road or in a band, whether it's in the studio or elsewhere.
Okay, so we'll start this one off. So this would be for Man and Ghost.
Okay.
So we did a couple of tours with Holly Springs Disaster, Den Divine, and Straight Reads the Line. So the one show that we did, I want to say, was in Stony Creek. And it was in this like community center. So we played this community center, which were a lot of the shows at that time.
Right.
And it was packed. There must have been like 250 kids, 300 kids in
wow.
a small room. So we went up, we did our opening set, and we were like, oh, cool, that was good. And then all of a sudden, singer of Holly Springs runs outside. There's a bunch of the Straight Reads the Lines guys coming outside. There's a bunch of kids at the show coming outside. And then all of a sudden, there was like 10 or 15 like souped up Honda Civics out in the front. And it was like a little gang in the front. So like Mike had like grabbed his bat. And then he was like looking at these guys. I don't know if they knew each other. I don't know if there was like some weird gang turf at that time.
Sure.
It was really weird. Like you just saw like a bunch of kids with super tight pants and like black t-shirts with swooped hair. And then you saw a bunch of like souped up Honda Civics guys with baggy hoodies and baggy pants. And it literally looked like it was going to be this giant brawl. But
Nothing happened?
No, they left. Like he came outside, he looked at them, and they just left. And that was it.
Weird.
Yeah.
I wonder if they were just like exchanging phone numbers real quick.
No, there was some heat. Yeah, there was some heat. Yeah, some serious heat on that one.
Weird. I wonder why.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't even ask. I was like, oh, hey, I'm just that opening guy. I don't really know many people here.
Yeah.
It's going to be awkwardly over here to the right.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. So there's that. What would be the other ones? This would be a storyteller one. So we did this tour where we went through Ontario, and then we went all the way out to BC and back.
Mm-hmm.
So we did with a band called The Fallacy, and they were from Calgary, and I can't forget the other band's name from. This is brutal. I should remember their name. I can't remember their name, but they were from BC. So basically, towards the end of the tour, we were in BC. So we were playing on Nanaimo. Yeah, it was Nanaimo.
Okay.
So we're sitting there, we're playing in a community center. And the thing is that Dave DeGuire would probably hate me for saying this, but Jordan Menier and Dave DeGuire did not get along.
Okay.
Okay, they did not like each other. They're just polar opposite people. So Jordan at this time, we didn't have any money.
Okay.
Right? So I think Jordan's parents had sent him some money. So we bought this pack of like Oreo cookies. Okay, and he was so pumped on these Oreo cookies because we were just like eating pretty much out of cans.
Yeah.
The beginning of the tour. And so he's like, Rob, you can have an Oreo cookie. He's like, JJ, you can have an Oreo cookie. And I'm like, this is the best fucking Oreo I've ever had. And Dave comes in, opens up the door, and just takes the Oreo out of his, nicely unwrapped tray of Oreos. And Jordan basically looked at him and said, that's not your fucking Oreo. If you take another fucking Oreo again, we're going to have some real trouble. Okay? And Dave's like, oh, sorry, man. Like, I just thought you were offering everybody Oreos. Like, it's just a package of Oreos.
Yeah.
He's like, don't fucking touch my Oreos again. So I'm laughing. Rob's uncomfortable. The drummer Eli's like, whoa. But I know Jordan so well at that point, right? So I'm laughing. I'm like, this is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And so it didn't stop there. So we went and played the show. And Dave was outside talking with some people at the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he missed sound check. So we hauled up all of his gear. We did the sound check. I sound checked his bass, my guitar, even Rob's guitar at the time. Jordan's sitting up there. He's swinging his mic around. He's like super mad, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be great. So we're ready. We do the sound check. Dave comes in through the middle of the crowd.
Yeah.
Okay. The crowd literally, he's walking through. Jordan spots him and goes, he's like, hey, you see that guy? And he's right in the middle. Everybody parted like the wall at a Lamb of God show.
Yeah.
And he comes through, stops in the middle, and Jordan goes, I'm not doing this fucking tour with this guy again.
Really?
He goes, this guy took my fucking Oreo. I don't like this guy. After this, I'm done. It's either me or him.
On the mic.
On the mic, in front of like 150 people. And Dave's like, okay. So literally played the show, and I was like, couldn't even look at the crowd on that one. I was just like,
yeah, you're just
this is awkward. Jordan's like super red in the face. I'm like, this is great.
Can you imagine being an audience member and being like, I've got some Oreos. Like, we could give them out to you. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
like,
exactly, right? It's just a package of like $1.98 Oreos from, the convenience store.
And just looking up and seeing Jordan just red in the face, just fucking pissed.
Yeah. You don't upset gingers. You just don't do it.
No. I've learned that, man. They're a different breed. Don't get them upset.
Don't get them upset.
Just do what you can to not.
Exactly.
So, and then what? Did you guys call it a day after that?
Yeah, I think Dave went in the Fallacies van because we were traveling in separate vans at that point in time, and then we had to tough it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the funny part is that I think what stemmed to that is that our van that we bought, Rob and I bought this beautiful $13,000 Chevy Express van, very expensive at the time.
Yeah.
We're like, we're good.
Yeah.
We're golden.
Especially for a band of that caliber, right? It's coming out of pocket.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. And our fuel pump would break all the time.
Oh, no.
So I think what stemmed from that, and this is kind of another funny story from that tour, is that we drove to Belleville. We played our show in Belleville. The van broke down. We're like, oh, this is like the first date. This is brutal. We don't have any money.
Yeah.
Guy goes, hey, I see that you kids are super poor and you're doing your tour. I'm going to tell you a trick. And we're like, okay, what's this trick? He's like, I'm not going to fix your fuel pump because you don't have $2,500 to fix it. So when you start your van, I want you to push it get a guy underneath the car to punch the fuel pump, and then it will start going. We did that like 10 times.
Really?
Yeah, we went across
Straight up
Canada.
like Flintstones.
Yeah, we went all the way to Calgary. And we couldn't do it anymore, and then we had to get it fixed in Calgary. But we were on like Saskatchewan Highway. It would break down. Rob would have to get out while the car was still going like this in neutral.
Yeah.
You go underneath the car and he would punch it.
Punch it. Wow.
Yeah.
That could be dangerous.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was the least of your concern.
We were not safe on that tour. We were definitely doing like 150 in the mountains of BC with ice on the ground in the middle of October.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It was rough.
Wild stuff.
Yeah. It was a wild tour.
You got any more anecdotes?
Yeah. Actually, one more about that one is we almost got robbed in Winnipeg.
That tour.
Yeah, that tour. So that tour was, yeah, it was a funny tour.
It was a
And,
hell of a day or a hell of a tour.
yeah, I was sleeping. We were trade, spots to who would sleep in the van the one night,
Mhm.
who would sleep in the whatever place we were crashing.
Yeah,
at,
you
right?
gotta watch the gear.
Exactly. So I'm sitting in there. I'm trying to fall asleep. So put on some. I think City and Color came on or Dallas Green
Sure.
came on, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna fall asleep to this. And it starts raining, and I hear like the rain trickling through the windows. I'm like, okay. And then I look up, and there's this huge, massive dude. Okay, massive dude. It must have been like 350 pounds.
In the van?
Like, no, outside the van.
Okay.
Okay, and I just like it was lightning or something at the time, and like all I saw was this silhouette
Yeah.
of this super big fucking dude, and he was trying to break into our van.
Wow.
And like, I'm just like this tiny dude
Yeah.
sitting on a couch with Dallas playing in the background, and I'm like, all right. And he never got in, but he did pry the doors open on that brand new Chevy Express.
Right?
To the point where they wouldn't close properly
Oh, no.
throughout the rest of the
Yeah.
tour. So there's always a gap like that. So I told Jordan, and sure enough, yeah, we went. Well, everybody was drinking, so Jordan decided to grab a bat, go through the streets. But I don't think he realized that he was still in his boxers, and it was like October.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Jordan, I don't think we're gonna find this guy. And he was determined to just find this guy and scare him off.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
So the guy pried the doors open, and then like after that, he was like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah, he just vanished. This massive dude just vanished.
I like how he showed up too. It's like straight up like a horror movie. Like the only thing he was,
That's exactly what it was like.
yeah, like the only thing he was missing was a hook for a hand.
100%. Yeah. Turned into a slasher film.
Exactly. Now, when you're on the road, what's your go-to gas station snack?
Oh, go to gas station. At that time, it probably would have been McDoubles.
McDoubles.
Yeah.
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 Can't go wrong with them.
Ah, it's $1.25 at the time.
Yeah. What did you get, like everything on it, or do you have like a custom?
Oh yeah. You get two.
Everything?
Oh yeah. Well, you get dressed as Mac.
You can, yeah. I think
Right.
they cost more nowadays, but
Yeah,
not back
not
then.
back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was great.
I get no picks, no onions.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
no, I don't like
You
that.
don't like the onions, eh? And
Don't-
no pickles?
No pickles
Not
either.
a pickle guy?
Not a pickle guy. They're too squeaky.
This is sweet. That's hilarious.
Where's the furthest you've ever gotten to play?
The furthest?
Mhm.
Yeah, probably in Nanaimo.
In Nanaimo?
Yeah, that would be. I've been across Canada. Did a little bit of the States too, but nothing crazy.
Nothing
in
cool.
there. Yeah, so yeah, just out east and out west a couple times. So tons of Ontario dates. Like
Yeah, well, that's just the one thing. Like, I don't think like many people know, but like Ontario is like it's a big province. There's not too many major cities in it, but you could definitely probably stretch a week out here.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you totally can. We would do we would do every single weekend, right?
Yeah.
Which you probably did.
Oh yeah,
So you're touring every weekend, but you're just hitting up those three, areas, right? Your Belleville, your Ottawa,
Mhm.
what else would there be? Oshawa or something like that on
Yeah.
the way up.
Yep.
Or you go over to the Brantford way, Brantford, London, etc.
or you could go south, Windsor, London, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. So that's the thing about Ontario is like the rest of Canada is not like that,
Yeah,
like at all. Like you do like maybe 3 shows in Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
And that's pushing it.
even like so. I've only ever gone out east, and like even still, driving out east is like there's few and far major cities in between.
Yeah.
Like you can hit the Quebec cities, but like New Brunswick doesn't have like Moncton and what St. John I think is the only things in
Yeah, Fredericton too.
Fredericton. That's right.
Yeah. You can do those three, but not at the same time.
Not the same because they're too close.
Yeah, people drive in between the towns here.
I've always liked. I think the furthest Sinners ever gone, or both my bands, Hellbent as well. I think Halifax is the furthest we've gone.
Nice.
I love
Halifax is
Halifax.
great. Do you ever have a chance? I always say this wrong. I always say the Pavilion. I don't know if it's a Pavilion or the Pavilion. But that one is in Halifax. I think it might have.
No, I haven't.
I think that one might have shut down a couple of years after I was in Fermanagh Ghost. That place was cool. That place was like a Halifax like staple.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
Yeah, for all those like the hardcore bands, even the indie bands, like everybody just played that room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that place. I'm sure it's well known.
Yeah, it was well known at that time. It's probably similar to Warehouse, like that.
Oh,
type of
cool.
vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, we haven't had that successful shows. It's always been a weird venue in Halifax, but I've always liked going there. Like,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful city. Wish the shows were better, but that's just the life of a musician on tour.
Yeah, it is. And these days are a little different than back, like even like in the early 2000s to the mid 2000s to even like 2013 or 2014.
Mm-hmm.
The internet's really kind of changed the game on that whole kind of show aspect.
Yeah, the way that like you present yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like the ability of like even people sometimes wanting to come out. It's just a different dynamic. You have to like kind of really, I don't know, you have strong internet presence, I guess, now.
Yeah, no, like the internet has kind of done this one thing where like you can be so present online and you can be not that good of a band. And then there's this really good band who are a bunch of 40-year-old guys who've no clue how to do social media and like they're just not getting paid attention to just because they don't have that kind of presence. It's weird. It's kind of polarizing.
Yeah, definitely it is. I can't say that I'm a biggest fan of that.
No.
You know, like the MySpace days were one thing. That would be like, I guess, our heyday, right? Because we're pretty close to the same age. So that was one thing. But like, I started seeing it a little bit throughout the years. I wish it would just be like, everybody just goes out to a show like it was in the back in the day. You know, you didn't really care. Like now everything's on YouTube. Everybody's starting to like these live shows. Like I think some of the best shows are like the shows where you have a packed room, kids are jumping off the speakers, kids are push moshing. I've used to be a big crowd surf guy. Like just crowd surf, like just be nuts and let go and let loose, because that's like the whole point of it, right?
That's just it, right? Yeah. Be present in that moment. Don't put your cell phone away.
Yeah,
enjoy the show. I don't even typically drink when I'm at shows because I just like to be in that moment.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And yeah, it shows back then, you would just go to a show because a show was happening. You weren't concerned about what bands were playing.
Exactly.
You were like, oh, there's a metalcore band playing tonight? I'm going.
Yeah.
And that's really how it is.
Yeah, and like you'd have like the shows where it'd be like you'd have 5 different bands on one type of bill. So like that's like Joel would do that a lot with the Bedlam days, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the following promoter afterwards kind of killed that whole vibe. But I'm not gonna say any names. But Timmer and Eric, they really tried to bring that back in, and I thought that was really cool. Just like being the idea, and Timmer and I would talk about this all the time. Like just the idea of going to a show and seeing a couple of different bands of different genres, where you could be like, you know what, maybe I don't like that one band, so I'm still gonna go to the show, but maybe I'll go get some food at You Need a Pita or whatever during that break. You know,
there's an opportunity for that.
Exactly. So I don't know. I really like those days.
We got to bring mixed bills back.
Yeah, let's bring mixed bills back.
Mixed bills back.
It's huge.
You heard it.
Yeah, 100%. You don't need 5 of the same band.
Yeah. So let's say you're at the level of Metallica. You're selling out arenas. You're doing crazy shit. What's in the green room waiting for you? What's your rock star dream rider?
Rockstar dream rider. Probably a video game system and a TV.
Sure. What video game system?
Probably just an Xbox. Yeah.
Xbox. The original Xbox.
Yeah, we could do that. I could play Halo.
Okay, with the big controller?
Yeah, the massive controller.
You need 2 arms to...
Exactly, yeah. Get that, some microbrew beers, and maybe the best veggie burger from, like, if it's in Toronto.
Yeah.
The best veggie burger that one of those, gastropubs make.
Yeah. Keep
That's
it simple, eh?
Yeah, super simple. Nothing wild. I'm basic.
All right. Well, I think I only got one more question here for you. What are your top 5 favorite bands of all times?
Okay, so top 5 favorite bands. At the Drive-In, 100% is number 1. I'm going to have to say Hope's Fall is a very, very, very close second.
Oh, really?
Yeah, huge Hope's Fall fan.
I love that.
Yeah, Hope's Fall's the best. What else would there be? Jimmy Eat World. Jimmy Eat World, I'm a really big fan of the first 3 CDs.
Mm-hmm.
That would be kind of like my pop band.
Yeah.
That I would like. Every Time I Die definitely is up there as well.
Love that band.
Yeah.
So heartbroken that they broke up.
Yeah. Me
So
too.
heartbroken.
I know.
I can't tell. I have tickets. I had tickets for their Toronto date in the spring. That's not happening.
No.
I'm gonna see Under Oath with another band, but I really just got it for Every Time I Die.
With that band, like that idea of like their type of shows, that's kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
They've always brought in like younger up and coming bands up.
100%. Like that idea of a band where you're helping people out, you're putting on shows, you're doing your Christmas show in your hometown city where you have a fucking wrestling ring in the middle.
Yeah,
of
I know.
it. Like,
did you go to those?
No,
I did.
I
They
was
were
working.
sick.
Yeah, was it awesome?
Those were great.
You see Andy in there?
Yeah, I have seen Andy wrestle, and it's so cool because he takes it so seriously.
Yeah.
And like it works for him. The guy
He's massive.
is massive, and he can throw people around, and he makes it look natural. Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a shame how that went down.
Yeah. It's a little wild. Like seeing both sides of that is just, I don't know.
I just think being in a band with their like a family member is just to be so tough.
Yeah.
Like you can tell. I mean, they've said it in their stuff, but like, this isn't something new.
Yeah.
This goes back decades, and
we would hear about that decades ago too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think they were having issues like even in 2010.
Yeah. And it would always bubble under the surface. It was always rumors, but you know what? They always kept it professional.
Yeah.
And they never really kept that shit out there. But like, yeah, very unfortunate.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. They'll probably get back together in like 5-6 years.
I'm hoping so.
I think so.
I'm hoping so. Maybe the money will come to it, and they'll be like, "Fuck, I'm out of money."
Yeah,
I don't want that to be the reason, but I mean, I love that band, and it's a shame to see them go.
Yeah, for sure. It's an energy that a lot of bands don't.
Yeah.
So what would be my 4th band? Russian Circles for sure.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I love Russian Circles.
They're a really cool band.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super
our bassist really like got us into it.
Yeah, I love doom music too. Like I love the slow, vibey. I could play songs at 110 BPM for just ever, for like hours. And I'm gonna say for the last one, this is all my playlist right now.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm talking about. I listen to a lot of the same bands from back in the day. Poison the Well.
Love it.
Yeah, Poison the Well is great. Their first 2 albums I liked, but as soon as that Versions album came out, I was 100% sold. Like Entropic Rot afterwards was super good. Like those, like I blame Shane Turner on this, but I've always been kind of attracted to bands that push the envelope and throw like kind of like a creative spin on it.
Yeah.
Rather than just playing a similar genre and style that many other bands have.
Right.
So when you can sit there and you can make your hardcore band sound like a creepy ass Western fucking soundtrack, I think it's the best.
Yeah. I've just found myself recently getting into Poison the Well. Like I listened to the old stuff back when it was like prominent, but I didn't listen to any of like Tropic Rot or anything. Like I think I just listened to that record last year for the first time, and that fucking record's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those records where like when it came out, like I'm sure like that and Versions, I'm sure when it came out it did really, really well. But at that point, they became a musicians band,
right?
Rather than just a hardcore band.
Yes.
And I find that I said it to Shane Tyre years ago when we were listening to it. I'm like, I bet you in 10 years, 12 years, this fucking album is gonna come back full circle, and people are just gonna be like, "Whoa!"
Well, here I am talking about it.
Yeah.
Did you see that When We Were Young festival that got posted?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
Neither do I. I mean, obviously, it's cool that all these bands are playing in that era, like era of bands are playing in that time. But like
Yeah.
a lot of, I don't know. I want to see what happens.
I just want to see if it's real because you can't cram all those bands into one day. Like there's like 50 or 60 bands, isn't there?
Yeah, and like so, actually, Kyle and I were just talking about this before you showed up. They've made it 2 days now.
Yeah.
But apparently, it was always set to be 2 days. It was always just like it's kind of like a
just one of
marketing
those-
ploy.
Oh, I hate that stuff. Get everybody talking about it. Same with their $20 down payment.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, that's so weird. And like the tickets are expensive.
I bet they are. Yeah.
And you also got to get to Vegas, right?
Yeah, I would go if it's a real thing. I would go just because
If I had the money, I would.
I would. Yeah.
I'm too busy dishing out money for production.
Yeah. Well, money is a thing. Yeah. I know. Totally. It would cost a lot. Well, I really want to see the Grand Canyon, but yeah, I'd go see it. But there's only like 5 bands that I want to see on there. Like Glassjaw is probably one of my top 10 bands too. I've never seen them.
No?
No. Well, I work
Man.
nights, so my life, as far as music and going to shows gets like put right down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would really like to see Glassjaw. And I was in high school, like everybody was listening to Blink-182, and I was listening to Thursday.
Yeah.
Like the sad guy of the high school. But yeah, I would like to see those bands again. I think that would be cool.
Yeah. Hopefully, it unfolds to be something sick because
Hopefully.
I don't want to see it like, fall apart or become another Firefest type thing.
Yeah, it might. I don't know. The $20 down payment seems like, hey, like if COVID says we can't do this, we still got your $20.
We got your $20. That's funny. Well, I think we can end that there.
Cool.
Unless you've got any more stories to tell.
Yeah, there's a couple, but whatever. We'll save it for maybe another time.
All right, sounds
Yeah.
good. All right, well, so thank you so much for taking the time to do this for me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Where can all the listeners find all the social medias?
Definitely on Spotify. I put Storyteller on there. I guess Apple Music too. It's on all the stuff. I did through DistroKid.
Oh, good, cool.
So I don't think the Lamb stuff is on there. The Waterbury stuff is definitely on there. The Captor stuff is on there, and the Doppelganger stuff is on there. It's pretty much all on there.
Oh,
So
cool.
all the social platforms.
Perfect.
I paid $30 a year for it.
Yeah. Right on. All right,
Yeah.
well, we can end it there.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Cool.